The question you need to ask is, how many days of a week will you be there? You just say, oh, I don't know to be there every day. Oh, I'm traveling a lot. Oh, I will have a corporate job. I can't be there. I only be there on Saturday and Sundays. And then that should raise a red flag. So that took us a while. That took us a while. So you cannot just hire somebody to, okay, you take over. We had to get our hands dirty first, right? Dealing with the day in, day out. So that when she comes, she understands what is the philosophy behind our business and where does she come to bridge the gap and take us to greater heights. So it's not hiring somebody to throw that person in. So we had to have that background first.
Welcome to Grind It Out Video Podcast. I'm your host, Katie, and today I have Joanne Chong with me here for chat. Let's go.
Yes. Katie, thank you very much for inviting me. Truly humbled and honored to be given this space to share. My name is Joanne Chong, everybody. I'm from a co-founder and senior Pilates teacher for Eltham Physio Pilates. We started this physio clinic first, Pilates studio in year 2022. We have expanded and moved and relocated from the east side of Singapore to the heart of Singapore, Orchard Road. So we're at number 1 Tanglin Road right now. Yeah.
Amazing. So what's your story? How did you get started with having a Pilates studio?
Okay, so I was freelancing for a good 8 years, working in multiple studios. And the last place I was in a physiotherapy clinic up in Novena Medical Center. Then for the good 3 years, I witnessed patients moving into clients. So from a surgical table, they move towards a physiotherapy bed, and then we take them onto the Cadillac bed or even the reformer, right? So I had this vision in me to create a space where we can bring people from illness to fitness to excellence. And in order to drive that agenda, the space required must first, the philosophy and the approach to movement have to match across all co-founders and owners. So I'm really blessed that I have Jaden Lim, our principal physiotherapist, who had his own physio clinic called Rehab and Beyond for a good 5 years before he invested in us. So Eltham Physio Pilates is a subsidiary of that organization. Number one, that. And number two is I'm able to create a space where I get to mentor staff and teachers alike, where we can come together and discuss. And for that to happen, you must have a structure. Apart from the size of the studio, you must have a structure where time are being blocked out to commit to them, right? Without additional charges on their end. So for this, I felt that as an owner, I was able to create a chase and chart the course. Yeah, so there you go. And that's how I set up this space. And also, this is also a space where people who are not well or they're ill, they can be inspired to witness when they see someone stronger working in athletic conditioning on the Pilates system. And clients who are already strong get to appreciate their journey and continue to be sympathetic towards people who are weaker. This exchange of emotions and ideas in that space can really boost morale and create a healing space. That's number one, very key, because we are clinic first. Okay, there you go.
So I know you're all about team building and also nurturing Pilates instructors. What are your thoughts and advice on Pilates instructors who have just graduated? Where do we go, and should we open a Pilates studio right away? What's your take on that?
Okay, so first, if you're a newly graduated teacher, please find someone or a space to attach yourself to. A space where you can exchange notes with someone. A space where people can watch you and hindle to you, give you a thumbs up to encourage you or say, don't do that. a space where you get to look at how other people teach and ask yourself, wow, this is a really good way to communicate a particular exercise. Yeah. A space where you learn how owners administer and manage the place, that later on you can copy or remove or adapt when you open a studio. I don't encourage a new teacher to strike it out so soon after they graduate. All right. Now, this may not mean that you open a hardware place, you rent a space and renovate and all. I have seen teachers who have rented spaces, right? Because it's somewhat a lot more lucrative. If you charge 150 or 130 a session, you pay $40 per hour of rental space. Of course, you're sharing space with other people, right? But there's no mentorship or teamwork or group camaraderie spirit. You're on your own. It is more lucrative because you take home about $100. Compared to working as an employee or freelancer for a studio owner, you may get in between $55 to $70, depending on your seniority level. But newer teachers is between $55, $60 per client. The thing is that the experience and the learning from sharing a space, for being part of a group, I'm not sharing space, and seeing how people teach and like soaking in teaching cues, the nuances of an exercise, the way a studio owner or leader share her insights on your teaching method, encourage you, listen to your story, helping you to schedule your life around clients or what. These are unquantifiable nuggets that money cannot buy. So as a new teacher already, you are not very confident in teaching, correct? No matter how good you are in your exam, once you step out, there is a little bit of, okay, am I doing this right or wrong? Because you can't quite copy your exam program on your private clients. There's no way. You still need to find ways to read bodies that comes with experience, right? There's no way you can beat that. So coming under a group studio, being attached to somebody as a freelancer or an employee, gives you the freedom to just learn and hone your skills. You just come in, punch in, or clock in, or say hello to us. I'm here. Do your work. Leave us with the administration. Teach. Keep teaching. Keep watching. Keep talking to your teammates and your leaders. Speak to our physiotherapists and I've got this issue. This person is feeling pain somewhere. How should I approach this? Then go off. Do your own thing. Watch a movie. After your 5-6 hours of teaching, there's a lot of joy in that. That helps you learn in a very deep level. And after a few years, and if you feel that, okay, you can strike it out, you have the capital, you are okay to accept the fact that being a studio owner is beyond just teaching, then go. But give yourself the first few budding years to really hone your skills and just focus on teaching. Yeah, don't strike it out so early. Yeah, this is my advice.
Would you say that from a Pilates instructor perspective, being employed in a Pilates studio, they would see where people's strengths and weaknesses are at, and then they would in turn also be able to be aware of what are their own strengths and weaknesses, and then they can see like where are they at this stage of the Pilates journey, how should they improve, what they can improve on themselves.
Yeah, you rightfully summarized, Kiki.
Oh, that's amazing. To move forward on that, at what stage do you think a Pilates instructor is ready to be a Pilates studio owner?
All right, this is very, very hard to project, yeah. At what stage? I think maybe I should, instead of using a quantifiable time, maybe we can talk about the qualities and skill sets that is required to become a studio owner. Depending on your size and your dreams and your vision and how big is it. Number one, yeah. I am very ambitious. So I'm going to share from my own perspective what I've learned and what I think is key. So apart from teaching, and I hope that a teacher who become an owner continue to teach, because there's a lot of value in doing the daily work of teaching. It helps you feel the business in a very different mood. It helps you read bodies and people very quickly. Apart from that, you also need to love administration and management. Okay, I am blessed because I spent many years in the corporate world. So a lot of skill sets that I have today, I must say that is only in the corporate world that you have. Okay, so if you have not been in a corporate setting or work as an administrator before, you start off as a teacher very young, and all these years you have only been teaching or instructing, and then now you put on a ownership hat. If it's a very small space, probably easy, right? But if you want to do like very big things, I'm not trying to put a feather on my cap, but we do have very big things coming up. Then you have a lot to catch up on in terms of understanding the science of management and the art of conveying your plans and structure. I feel that in my case today, administration takes on a very, very large part of my time and life. Don't get me wrong, I love this part of leadership. Yeah, I love the admin part, the management part, thinking of structure, thinking of systems, thinking of ways to improve the space. Interrelated them to a client experience, a staff experience, how we project that thinking marketably on social media, on our website. Like now when I'm talking to you, right? You can see already that I enjoy that part, okay? So somebody who want to be a studio owner must understand finances and the impact of every dollar coming in and out. Revenue management is my next certification, yeah? I mean, once I'm done with this trip here in Zurich, I will be looking at, though I know how to read P&L statements and balance sheets and know how to project, I think I need skill sets in revenue management. I'm looking forward to attend classes on that, accounting. So you must have basic understanding of where money comes and goes and how do you classify. We have accountants that do that, but you can't just throw that aside, right? I mean, it takes a lot to read the statements and thinking of historical facts and legacy issues that create the numbers is in your statement. We also have a mind-body online system where our clients book in and where we manage people from clients from there and teacher scheduling. That took a lot of time to set up. I'm truly blessed that we had a staff full-time who helped us with that. But that also meant that there was a lot of thinking behind it because you need to chart out the experience and the journey of both a client and a teacher and how that impacts upon your final analytics and your statements, the entire scheme of things. So you must love thinking about that process, right, of change.
Yeah.
HR matters. I'm up at 4:30 a.m. every day, not to do with HR matters, but to read things that require a lot of attention. So when we have new stuff coming in, we have service contracts. Lately, we have adopted a HR system where we can do payroll, leave claims from that. Even for our freelancers, they submit things online now. So there's less manual tracking of stuff. Oh, that requires you to, I think my HR background really helped to understand payroll is not just paying money, you know, it's there's different facets of things. understanding the Ministry of Manpower guidelines in Singapore. You must love to read that, yeah? So I think a studio owner who wants to have a big vision and dream must really appreciate this management part. Now, if you don't, my question is, do you have someone next to you who will love that? Okay. So I want to address a matter that lately has been brought to my attention. Investors, clients who invest in teachers to set up studios and eventually fall out. So when this happens is this one that I spoke to was the investor promised to do the administration part, but this person have their own full-time jobs, but they have the money to invest in this teacher. This teacher will just focus on teaching. There is no way you can manage a place from afar. So eventually this relationship broke up. It left a bitter taste in everybody. That's in 2 cases now that I know, where investors and teachers broke up. What happened there? It was a mismatch of expectations, or they underestimate the workload involved and the attention that's required for a very high volume space. Even if you only have 2 reformers, 2 Cadillac, 2 leather barrel, 2 sets of everything, when you have people coming in and out, and it was only 1 teacher handling it, who is also a co-founder, animosity will arise. So if the investor who had promised admin support is not there on a daily basis or during busy periods, it's very dangerous. You cannot manage places from afar. My advice to studio owners is, if you pair up with somebody who said that they will promise you admin support, the question you need to ask is, how many days of a week will you be there? If they say, oh, I don't know, to be there every day. Oh, I'm traveling a lot. Oh, I will have a corporate job. I can't be there. I only be there on Saturday and Sundays. And then that should raise a red flag. Know that when they say this, it means they will not appear. And it means you as a teacher, apart from teaching, will have to assume this administration. It can build up unless you are the only person on payroll. Okay? So be careful with that. I am blessed. Jaden, my principal physiotherapist and co-founder, enjoys branding and marketing. All right. Clinic matters is very hefty as well. We work with doctors who give us patients. So there's a lot of reports on their end that Pilates teachers don't have to do. So he does have a lot on his plate, on top of treating patients, similar load like mine, or even more there some days. And I handle the accounting and finance. Everything else that we can do, we outsource. Everything we can do, or we need to do more, we hire people who can do. So we have an accountant on board with us full time. We didn't have it before, we outsourced, but the plan was to have somebody within us so that it expands our scope as well in terms of finance and analytics. So that took us a while. That took us a while. So you cannot just hire somebody to, okay, you take over. We had to get our hands dirty first, right? Dealing with the day in, day out. So that when she comes, she understands what is the philosophy behind our business and where does she come to bridge the gap and take us to greater heights. So it's not hiring somebody to throw that person in. So we had to have that background first. We have a really great client care executive with us. Yeah, her name is Tracy Tan. If you come to Eltham, you will see that. She's the first face that you will meet. She handles a lot of things. Wow, I appreciate her. I can't go down the list. Yeah. So she's supposed to do client care, but she's always doing Joanne care, Jaden care, Deborah care. She loves, she is that face where we can go to her. Can you help me do this? Can you buy lunch for me today? Because I really can't handle Yeah, and she is also in her 60s. That makes her the godmother of the space, and I cannot be more grateful. So there are different levels of administration, and we have different people handling that, where we do a little bit more high level thinking. Well, that took a long time. Yeah, Elton has been around for like 1.5 years, and I am truly blessed that all partners, investors, shareholders are very active. Some of them don't handle the day-to-day grind of operations. They come in, they're our clients, right? So they're going to hear our issues and say, okay, Joanne, for this, you approach this matter this way. So I'm truly blessed that we have investors who are mentors as well. So I'm very grateful that we're in this space. And because they're practitioners, they understand why you can only feed so many number of reformers, right? Because when you do leg circle, oh my goodness, you're hitting a neighbor. And because they are practitioners, they understand, okay, Joanne, you cannot go beyond certain hours of teaching in a week. So if they just here for the money, they would have asked me to, oh, you need to work 50 hours of teaching, yeah? Admin, you just need 1 hour a day, right?
Yeah.
So because they are not like that. They are practitioners before, then they know, oh, Joanne, this is really tiring. If I am feeling so exhausted, like they are practitioners, they understand what we convey to them. And they know, okay, Joanne, what you're doing, you can only do maybe maximum 5 hours or 6 hours in a day. So if they are just purely money investors, they will ask me to burn out, right? Not hire any more new teachers, not hire, and then I take on all the load, and that's it. Cannot fall sick. Or if you fall sick, then you need to catch up on your load next week. How do you go on medical leave for 3 days and then catch up on your load the following week? Because the clients can do 3 times a week, right, to catch up. So it takes a different kind of investor. So I know that your question of what it takes to be a studio owner, I have given you a very big piece of what it truly takes today to be a studio owner, and when you have investors in it as well. It's very complex. So if you're not ready for the complexities, can you just don't own a space? Just stay as a paid employee. Because there's a lot of a joy in that. Yeah, that freedom. Wow, that freedom.
But obviously, there's also like smaller scale Pilates studios who don't have investors and they just do their one person thing, which is also fine too, right?
Of course,
So
of course, of course.
like different types of.
That's right. There's different type of
so, like,
space, different kind of. I mean, there's a lot of boutique studios that you have like one studio or one reformer, one Cadillac, right? That is okay. If you like that, then it's okay. Have their own space, but not strike out so early. Please, can you give yourself some time, like 8 to 10 years of teaching before you own that space, so you can bring in your own clients as well without having to hunt for more, right?
I actually also have an interesting story where I met a studio owner who started from without any Pilates experience. Actually, she partnered up with another friend of hers at that time, and that person was a Pilates instructor. As time has passed, that partner, they just separated as a business. So eventually, the studio owner who I talked to, she owned the space solely on her own, without any Pilates experience at the beginning. But she did show up like in the Pilates studio all the time. She devoted most of her time in the studio, and eventually at this place now she's very experienced and she knows all about like Pilates, how it works, business side, and also the exercise, like the movement side of things. And that's really interesting. So like it's like the other way around, but I can see how it also works as long as you are willing to devote your time into the business.
That's right. Exactly, Katie. So if you recall what I said, is you cannot manage a space from afar. So for owners like that who are not teaching, but they are every day, you will pick up something.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? You'll pick up something. And you start to get very sensitive in running that business. Right. But now that I'm in Zurich, Tracy is handling Singapore, and I hear that my partner is not well, right? She's there. We have another senior physio there. So you see, I am afar, but because we have people who were there every day, it's easy for them to, okay, open shop. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. What's going to happen? She understands who is coming in today, what the space is going to be like. But that she as a staff was there every single day. So now that I'm gone, Jaden is not well. She can handle that space, and I'm not worried. I am very rested that, and I trust that. I'm really appreciative that we have a team who can step up when we are weak, right? Because we're imperfect. How did that trust come along, Katie? Was when I was in Singapore, I'm there every single day. Jaden is there every single day. Every people who need to make decisions at crucial times like that see each other every single day, right? So it matters. Administration, sorry guys, work from home can work sometimes, not every time. Some admin matters, some days you can work from home, but you need to be present to understand and take away potential misunderstandings.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's all about communication and presence at
Yeah,
the
exactly.
beginning, especially.
Yeah. Yes, for
Wow.
trust to build. Yeah, that takes time. Yeah, that takes time.
So going on to the nurturing and team building part, which we previously mentioned, I just want to know your take on what if a studio owner, she wants to hire somebody, but she doesn't have the time to nurture Pilates instructors? What's your insight on that? Or is it a must to devote your time to nurture that Pilates instructor so that she knows where she belongs, like she has a sense of belonging in the Pilates studio?
Yeah. When we first set up Autumn, one of the agenda was to create a space for teachers, a safe space for teachers to come and learn. Right? So number one, because I'm a studio owner, I get to block out time in the schedule, no patients, no clients, which means zero revenue at that time. All right? To say this is our mentorship session. There you go. Please attend. Last week, we invited, so often I'll be doing the workouts, I'll be teaching, right? And then after that, they ask me questions, Joanne, I have this patient, okay, how do I handle this and that? I share exercises that I learned from Zurich. Last week, we had one, follow us on Instagram, guys. You'll get to know who is this person. She zoomed in from overseas, very, very highly experienced person who zoomed in with us. And we paid for her time. Autumn paid for her time. That's time. Okay, dedicated time. Number two is when a teacher messaged me, Joanne, I have to chat to you about something I'm feeling. I'm not comfortable in handling this particular client. Like when I went away this time around, they were covering my clients for me. Can you share with me what's going on with this client? Blah, blah, blah. I'm supposed to do that, right? But I forget, right? So I take time to call and hey, look, this is what's happening. This is what you can do. Look, or I've observed a session with you and a client. You're fine, but do think of this and that, like that. It takes only, I think, like half an hour. Every teacher, not every teacher will call me every week, right? I mean, there's some of them who are a lot more senior, so it's okay. Make time. There is no such thing as no time to mentor if you're a studio owner, because when you assume that role of a leadership, means you understand that there are people under your care and you do want to care for them. So a studio owner who don't want to mentor, I have never met anyone like that, because those that I know, you set up a space so that you could mentor someone, unless your business model is solely to rent spaces out, right? Correct. But if you want people under your care, you want them to share the same philosophy, then you need to make time. There is, if one thing you know about me, Katie, I never say I have no time for something. When people say, Joanne, why don't you pick up, give me an example, knitting, or somebody share with me, do knitting to relax your mind. I will never say no time. Is that I have no interest Okay. And you know what? When I go back to Singapore, I'm going to sign up for mahjong lessons. Okay. I'm going to make time. So I'm going to turn up on a Sunday after church, make time to, yeah, because I'm Chinese, right? And I don't even know our game. This is bad. So because I think it helps to prevent dementia, right? And number one, number two, I think there's a lot of science behind this game. So I want to learn something that's very Chinese, right? So it's making time. So when my teachers message me, Joanne, can I talk to you tonight? I say, okay, tonight I will be making sure that my 15-year-old have dinner at 7 o'clock, 7:30, I'm done with him. He will go and po tin wa tuk, right? You know, teenagers, right? Like for our English speaking listeners, po tin wa tuk is a Cantonese expression on like telephone hoarding. Okay, yeah. So it means I have time to talk to this teacher at 8 o'clock. So I say, let's make an appointment. And I put it in my schedule. So in my schedule, you get clients' names, and then I block out times for my personal time. And then 8 o'clock, talk to so-and-so, right? So people know, okay, 8 o'clock, do not disturb Joanne. So I'll talk to someone. And then so I can get an alarm, I will forget, right? Make time. I think it is possible to make time. There are days where teachers say, Joanne, as well as I have to talk to you. Okay, make that time. As they go, it's Mama Joe is about to go to bed. I'll talk to you, but can we keep this conversation short? They know. So there we go. I don't know how to advise people who don't want to mentor unless the business model is in renting spaces only.
So now we're talking about the present. Going to the future, looking ahead, what do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges in your Pilates studio and also in the Pilates industry?
One thing that disturbs me right now is where studios or those fancy places that call themselves Pilates group classes place hire teachers who are not certified. Okay. Let me just explain the process of getting certified. Number one, you attend all the seminars. Number two, you clock in hours of observation, self-practice, practice, teach. Number three, you sign up for the exam, go through a very nervous 2-3 hours of time to be examined and tested so that you lend credibility to your certification. Is that piece of paper important? That piece of paper is just a piece of paper. It's a process of learning. I have known of teachers or instructors who have gone to attend seminars and they get hired by fancy studios without examination. These are called Pilates-trained, is not Pilates-certified. They don't see a need to do exam because the industry is hiring them at very large droves. Why? They join these fancy studios most often with LED lights, loud music. They give them a program to teach. These exercises, some of them are not Pilates moves anymore, right? They combine Bosu, TRX on the reformer. They have adapted and changed the exercises so much that I don't recognize them. That's going trend here. In Singapore, the industry has evolved to what they call fitness Pilates or Pilates-inspired moves. Reformers have changed. I know that there was a subject of being innovative. I think the Pilates system is good enough. There's no need to change the reformer to make it look fancy. We need to teach the system. And I hope that studio owners will go back to the system. So the trend is about buying franchisees brands and then hiring teachers at massive growth, creating their own teachers training that is just Pilates reformer only, and right there get certified in 60 hours. I mentioned earlier, typical classical certification or even contemporary certification takes about a year. There are some classical master trainers that I know Just a program 2 years, right? Jay Grimes, one of the survivors, one of the surviving disciple of Joseph Pilates. He don't believe in teachers training certification because he says that to build a teacher up, he needs 5 years. Why? All right, you'll be curious, right? The order of exercises are the same. So what is in the mystic and magic of the original work that requires so much time? When you do your footwork, Katie, when I do my footwork, same exercise. What are we looking out for? This is not taught nowadays in those fancy studios. This is the challenge, and it hurts. It hurts when I see teachers who haven't got themselves certified, have been teaching for years, no longer teach hundreds. Hundreds is not just pumping your arms in the air, you know. It's a whole body commitment that involves every part of your body. It involves every system, right? Breathing is a key one. So this is the challenge I feel. There are many teachers leaving their courses, getting hired, and this trend is going to dilute the value of Pilates. Okay, so this is it. I feel that there's an opportunity for original or classical education in Singapore. Altum is looking out for people who are willing to come to Singapore to teach their program. I do hope that whoever is listening and willing to come to Singapore, please don't propose Zoom sessions for some of the seminars. If it takes 6 seminars to get before a person's exam, please come to Singapore 6 times. All right, it can be done. Our students need the presence of their trainer, face-to-face. Zoom can happen as part of the supplementary sessions, right? So we are looking out for that. And we hope that with this, we can start to increase the value, the awareness of what Pilates truly is. It's meant to be. And how we need to teach the system, not just a modality. So there you go.
What do you think is the one most important value that should stay consistent from the original work?
Understand the history of Pilates, not just by Googling, like really researching into books and stuff. Know the work, feel the work. Altum's tagline is feel the work. So when owners don't even practice, you don't know what is the footwork. We have 4 positions. How are you exactly going to market the value of Pilates? You can say, oh, footwork works the quadriceps, the glutes, the whatnot. You can go muscular. Then where is that whole body commitment? How does my arms come into play when I'm lying down on a reformer and doing footwork? Why do we always say lengthen the back of the neck as you pull the reformer in? Because you're dancing with your springs. So if you have not done that, knowing the essence and feeling the work, how exactly is a studio owner going to be the loud hail of Pilates? And this is what happened. They get fancy. They have all kinds of versions for footwork, all kinds of versions for hundreds, right? Because you know that, oh, build the quad. So let's see, what can I replace with footwork? You're not replacing that exercise. So this is disturbing me. People who are supposed to be marketing Pilates, talking about Pilates, don't even know the work. And it's very hard to communicate with people who don't know the work.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I need springs of certain brands? My clients, when I buy new springs from a new company, They know it. Something is different today in the springs, right? They know, that's why you pay a bit more for this springs, huh? Joanne? Now I know. In the returning, I could feel the requirement. It takes a client who have done Pilates and know their work to tell me that. So when I tell them, oh, this costs a little bit more, they, oh, I know why it costs a bit more. So imagine you have to explain to someone why you have to spend 200 USD for a new pair of springs, right? Yeah. They say, oh, why can't you go to Taobao to buy? You know, nowadays this is very common. Oh, sorry. I mean, I think I'm going to offend a lot of people. Yeah. But there are a lot of copycats nowadays, right? And you're crossing the line to safety or the lack of it. So if you're not exposed to what a true good quality Pilates apparatus is, and why exercises are meant in certain way or executed in this way or that way, how exactly are you going to talk about the true value of Pilates, or what it's supposed to be, what the original intent was supposed to be for every single exercise?
So say if in an imaginative world of perfection, everybody knows the original work of Pilates, but time has to evolve into like somehow combining things or changing over time. So would you have any insight on that? Would you disagree or would you agree on that, given that everybody knows Pilates, original work of Pilates?
So I was contemporary certified before. That's how I started. Is there value in using that method? Some days, yes, there is. There are some of my patients who can't go on a reformer because they get dizzy, they will start to vomit. There's some clients who just can't work their hip so quickly if they had a hip replacement. Classical reformers are a lot lower. So if you just had that hip replacement, they cannot flex the hip for more than 90 degrees. So where do we start them on? We then adopt rehabilitation exercises, right? That are Pilates influenced. Then I move them on to the classical system. So that's their goal, right? So there are days where I don't go by the order. There are days where my clients just have to come in and just breathe, just breathe, hold their rib cage and teach them how to breathe because they're so stressed and rigid. There are some days where they just do this, right? I also adopt Eve Gentry's exercises, and I'm blessed to have been exposed to her work, though not very deeply ingrained, but Eve Gentry had double mastectomy. So after she was trained under Joseph Pilates, she had her own method and system. So there you go. I don't stick to the order all the time, but I get back to that space at some stage, right? So if my clients are well already, their hip is fine. Oh, they go on a reformer. Let's do the basic series, intermediate series, and then move them to the advanced. But I don't end up changing the exercise or having a different exercise every single time they come, right? Or go on YouTube to learn what is the latest exercises, or have extension-based exercises for that day. Like it's a trend, right? Some months you have certain exercise of the month. These are exercises of the day, of a very hour. If I were to teach hundreds, maybe with no head up for the time being, they are pumping with their arms, and then slowly I lift their head up. After 20 pumps, nope, when we move on, I don't need to commit to 100 pumps for that particular patient, right? So I don't quite change the exercise in a way, but I build up to that because in the original work, there's also pre-Pilates. So there you go. So I'm open. I have teachers who come in from contemporary method. They take privates with me. They want to join me. They slowly influence them into the original work. It takes time. I don't shove the classical order down their throat. You either do this my way or the highway. Then they slowly adapt. Oh, Joanne, the springs are very different. So yeah, tell me what is the difference. And I will just help them teach in a way. So they bring in their contemporary background. They're curious about the classical work or the original work. Then they slowly change and evolve from there. Evolution doesn't mean that you take the old and modernize it. Evolution can be going back to the original work, but your thinking has changed. Now, there's many master level teachers or very experienced teachers who are bringing back the science into Joseph Pilates' work. So when Joseph Pilates was teaching, he wasn't very anatomical. He never say concentric, this eccentric, that, what is stabilizing, what is isolate. He doesn't have that anatomical background so strongly. Today, modern day, we use science to explain his work. So he was way ahead of time. That is evolution. Our people are going back to the original work to explain why we need to keep it. So they are not taking his work to change it to something else, right? They're going back to the original. You know how we see, talk about diet, right? Long ago, people say, don't have ghee, don't take ghee, don't eat ghee or butter. It's not good for you. Margarine was the best. So now we have taking people going back into eating ghee or having coconut oil in their cooking and stuff. That going back to that time because science now explains.
So it's about knowing the thoughts and understanding of how a certain movement connects to your body, how your head connects to your toe, that essence of the original work.
That's
that
right.
Needs to be incorporated in all forms of Pilates movement.
Yeah, that's right. Well said there.
Ah,
hey, you're learning, Katie. So proud of you,
yeah,
man.
I was like, yeah, wow, okay, amazing.
So now, Katie, now that you can articulate, the next thing you need to do is to find a studio where you are and start to pick up the movement. Then all this will come into play. You're like, whoa, we have another aha moment, like,
yeah,
that was what I could put in words. Now I can feel it.
So, okay, so I think it's a good place to end this podcast. And also, do you have some final word of wisdom that you want to share with other studio owners who are perhaps struggling right now?
Oh, if they are struggling, can they call me? I think it's the best way. I would love to talk to them, whoever is struggling, whatever issues you have. Trust me, I'm not going to judge, because I think, well, Katie, I really applaud you to create this platform. And in today's day and age, I think people want to hear vulnerable stories, and I hope that I have been. It's be open to share things that you are struggling with and get kind of tips, right? On how to approach certain matters. I think some people can think their way into burnout. Some people they may not work their way into burning out. I feel that Pilates teachers are physically very strong and they can multitask, they're like, wow, they can do many things at one go, can think in various spectrums and realms. Burnout doesn't have to be, I mean, in the process of talking about what you're struggling with, burning out doesn't have to be the case where your workload is very high. Burnout can be high expectations and variables you cannot control. That can cause a burnout. I'm really blessed that I have investors, as I mentioned, who are mentors as well. And there was one point where I was burnt out, not because of workload, because I was upset about something. And then she said, Joanne, this is what your burnout is like. You're somebody who thrive, in heavy workload. Okay, yeah. So this is something that you can control. I'd like you to just have that high expectations. Continue to have high expectations. Oh, I love it when she says this to me. She gave me permission to be ambitious. You have variables you can't control. Now I want you to leave it as it is. Okay? Leave it as it is. Don't try to change that. Things that you can't control. Step away for a moment. there will come a time where you will step back in, when the environment is now ready for you to change that variable to meet your high expectations. Wow, that one time, I had coffee with her to tell her what has been happening, and I was upset about something. It kind of lit up my life. So if anyone is listening to this, I'd like to pay forward what I have learned from people who have encouraged me. Can you connect with me through Katie, or you can just DM me? Katie can give you my WhatsApp number. I'm fine, you know. So I wake up at 4:30. So if you're in European time, which is perfect, you know, it's like kind of late evening for you. But anyway, keep in touch with me.
Thank you so much for your time to attend this podcast, Joanne.
Thank you, my dear. Anytime.